Pause record. All right. Good morning, guys. Have some notes. Back, back on the saddle. Mm. Oh my goodness. Okay. And Michelle, I am good for after if you are. Let me know. Okay. All right, guys. Let's get back into it. Can you believe it is December 2023? Like to me, it's this bittersweet. Like I can't wait for this year to be done. Just because just get some new energy in here, but at the same time like it's been a journey. So for me, this has been one of the most difficult ego years I've ever had, but probably the best year for like my soul and my spirit, you know. And I think I remember teaching this like back in the day when all I was just a vessel, like this channel, and I would just like regurgitate anything spirit was saying. And I remember saying this all the time to people: the best day, the worst day for your ego is the best day for your soul. And I would say that so like confidently, and now I'm like, like eating my words. So I thought what we would do today, since we are in December, and good morning, guys that are joining. Since we are in December and we are kind of wrapping up the year, we're going to go until this class is going to go until like end of January, because I think we started like mid-January or something, just to kind of like go full circle. So we have like basically kind of like another month and a week or so of this particular thought form that is non-duality. And we have been staying really close to the script, I believe, on this concept of taking out what is wrong or right, black and white, and looking at anything, whether it's good as potential or fertilizer, right? Is this like, are we using our fertilizer correctly? Or are we still in duality of it, basically? So what I thought we would do today is something kind of like a self-analysis to kind of see where we are. We don't take score, but it's a good idea for us to take stock and really see kind of where we are in coherence to who we are, right? So it's like where we are versus who we are. Because ultimately, ascension, enlightenment is closing the gap between who you want to be and realizing that you already are, and realizing that basically the idea of the I am that was shifted into the I am not is our whole reconciliation here. We are literally just returning to the I am within. And there is a lot of amnesia, there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of stories, that there's a lot of memories, there's a lot of reasons that we could disregard that truth. But ultimately, that burning desire in your heart to be thyself is never going to go away. You can medicate it. You can break your body down so much that you don't hear the call as loud. You can project your consciousness into other people and vicariously do it that way if you choose, because you literally have God consciousness at your fingertips, and you are choosing 24 hours a day, I am or I am not. Because wherever you're streaming that life force energy is basically demonstrating who you are based on what you are perceiving, what your self-concept is about yourself. So it's been really fun for me to teach this 90-day boot camp, because like one area that has stayed really consistent for me these last few years while all hell was breaking loose was my relationship to my body. Like this has been a safe place for me for the past couple of years. And I know a lot of people don't have that. And I don't think I would have probably made it these last couple of years if I did not have that safe space, because I don't have parents. I don't have the significant other that is, paying my bills or putting a roof over my head. And I have dependents. So I have had to create a relationship with my body, with myself, in order to have a reflection that I could interact and connect with, like kind of mirror through myself. And having this relationship with my body this last few years has literally been my saving grace. Because without pain and confusion, then I could get still enough and listen to what was underneath what would have been pain, right? And I know a lot of you guys are dealing with pain, which is just a messenger. So all that is it's a message to come home. So this is home. And as the energy on the planet gets significantly stronger, okay, pressurization. So think Florida waves, right? Thinking Honolulu waves of next year, all right? Like Point Break type of waves next year. And the reason why is because we're asking, and our desire is being answered. And as that desire is being answered in the fourth dimension, it has to demonstrate in the third dimension what is still out of alignment to you. So if you're not a surfer, but you have actually been out into waves, then you can identify what I'm going to tell you, because next year is going to be almost like riptide, where it's going to come out and it's going to pull you in. And so as it pulls out and pulls you in, it could suck you under. Now, when you're surfing, there is this break point that you have to get past in order for you to be where the sets are coming in fluidly and you can actually ride them. All right. But they're like this like turbulent space, like where the water breaks, the turbulence of where the water is crashing, and then basically the sets that are coming in. And so there's like these obstacles that I have to get to when I'm out there. And the best way for me to get out into the sets is to duck dive all the way under, as deep as I can get. With that board underwater, fighting gravity is still easier than getting slammed by those waves that can split your board in half. Okay. So that is kind of like the equivalent. I know last year, I think I used the analogy of like being grounded on a plane versus the turbulence. And then you get into that jet stream where it's like, okay, you're free to take your seatbelts off, and it gets all calm and cozy, and the drinks show up and everything is going really fast, but you're just chill. You're watching a movie, you're taking a nap, right? And so that's kind of like where we were, but now it feels more like those really powerful waves that are coming in. And it's not really giving you a lot of time to get back up and get settled. So as soon as you shake it off, there's another one coming. So the way that you're going to be able to get out into the clearing where all the fun is, right, is to duck dive deep into your body, to get really deep within yourself, to make this your safe space, to make this your home, to make this sense of your joy, to make this your best friend, to make this your soulmate, to make this your abundance, to make this your intuition. So there's trust that needs to be built. There's clearing that needs to be built. There's like clearing of space. There's recycling. There's reconciling. There's communication. There's a relationship to be rebuilt. Because as you guys see that as we start to work in that junk DNA that was called junk, that isn't junk, okay, that is going to start lighting up different places of your brain, your body is going to be able to do more things if you are in it. And if you are in it and you are in the awareness of it, that means that you have less density, less thinking, emotional pain vibrating, and you have more light. So you're going to lighten up, right? And so that's going to create buoyancy. That's going to create that floating. That's going to be able to surf that wave versus getting pummeled. All right. So as the third dimension collapses upon itself and regenerates from basically death and destruction, which is going to be a continuous wheel for a bit, it's going to get darker and darker and darker if you're looking out there. And if you've ever been in a riptide, which I have, there is a point where you literally just have to let go and hope that someone saw you. Okay. This happened to me when I was 16 years old. Being out in horrific waves was still safer than my house. that's how you know where I was. It was like, I'm going to go as far out in the ocean because that is safer than my house. Like, right. And so I would go out there, and I still have this pattern where it's like, I just don't give up. And so I'm just like, if I could just get past this break, if I could just get this part. And I've got this old junky board that I probably got at a garage sale, you know, and my leash is half broken. So I'm holding on to it as the waves kick me back. And I'm exhausted and I'm sunburned. And I'm sure I've seen a shark by this point. And I'm out in the Malibu waves, which at that point was clean and safe. So I would just take a bus down there. Nobody would know where I was. I could die. We didn't have cell phones back then, but here we are. And I would go out there. And this one time I remember I turned around and looked and there was no one on the beach. That means two things. Someone saw something and the beaches are cleared, or there's a riptide. Okay. And I was praying for the shark because they really don't want to eat you. If you're not flailing around, they don't even get curious. Trust me. They don't have any interest in you. But Pacific, cold water, right? So like where I was I was like, great, there's a riptide and I'm already done. Like I was just trying to get out there so I could just like rest out there for a bit. And I was done. And I just remember like I started losing consciousness. And I was like, that's it. I just woke up and there was this ladder coming down and there was a chopper. And it was like the clouds opened up. I don't know why this is emotional, but it is. And this super hot guy like took me up and I rode in my first helicopter, and it was to date one of the best, worst experiences of my life. But I kind of feel like that's been my year. You know, it's like as soon as I just like stop fighting, stop holding on, stop trying to like win, stop trying to like be somebody, it's like there's the water. Anyways, so it's full circle for me this year. And I'm starting to realize that I can command that ladder whenever I want. And I can summons that anytime I need. And all I have to do is stop fighting the current, stop fighting the waves. You know, it's fun until it's not, right? It's like we have a good time out there. And then it becomes, it's just not. Our bodies were not built to live in fight or flight 24 hours a day. We were not supposed to push this hard. We were not supposed to build reality in 3D. We were not supposed to judge circumstances as our value point. We were never supposed to use money as our worth. We were never supposed to use our looks to define ourselves. We were never supposed to put pressure on our relationships to be something that we weren't. And I think that those are all of the hard lessons that we're learning this year and last year, well, basically our whole life. But I think that when you get so exhausted, then you move into that humility, and humility will turn very quickly back into nobility. Because as soon as you let go and you can actually like get humble enough to be like, I don't know shiz about F, right? I don't know anything. That is almost when you feel like you have access to everything. And I think that returning to that childlike state of excitement and adventure and wonder of, but what if I could, and what could I create, instead of being so guarded and so desperately plugged into certainty that we have spent time trying to control the future, and we have forgotten to experience life, right? We have forgotten to play. We have forgotten to taste the food because we're so worried about, is it poison? Is it going to make us fat? Or we haven't really experienced things the way that we set forth to do that. Because the reason we chose to be physical was so we could have slowed down experiences. Like the thing I think to myself is going for a fast food meal and just right and feeling sick and disgusting after, or going to a 12-course meal that's served over the course of 5 or 6 hours. And you don't have too much. You have just enough to take you to the next experience and the next experience. And it's so satisfying. And I just did that in New Orleans a couple of weeks ago. We had this 12-course meal, and we had, at every meal, there was a different musician that played with each part of the meal, and each part of the meal had its own wine. So it was like 12 different experiences in the course of like 4 or 5 hours. And although we were eating like a piece of food this big, we were so satisfied at the end of the night that we were just like, wow, like it was like, I thought that's what we came for. You know, that's what we came for. We didn't come for, let me get as much food for cheap as we can, so we can just gorge ourselves and live in this feast or famine mentality. So if we're going to take stock this at this end of this year and really pay attention to what we are investing our energy in currently, right? Like, take a look, guys. What are you building right now? What have you built this year? What have you destroyed this year? Your entire purpose is success in building thyself. And anything that resembles you in human form physically is what you build. Okay? Feminine, what have you grown this year? You're growers, right? What have you truly grown? What have you given birth to, right? What are you pruning? What are you grooming? Right? So this idea of divine feminine came here to grow her spirit. She came here to give birth to her desires. Divine masculine came to build spirit and seed desire, seed the planet. And so if we've looked at our true gender reality of choice that we embodied in, where are we in that self-analysis? So we understand that obviously with every birth, right, there is a death, and everything that built will be destroyed, and everything grown will be, you know, that will be birthed, or it will die in that series as well. But like, if you just take stock over specifically this year, what have you grown? What have you built? The next question I have is, what have you been afraid to grow? And what are you afraid to build? And the following question is, what have you tried to grow? And what have you tried to build? Last question is, what have you lost that you tried to grow, or grow that you grew, that you've lost? And what did you lost that you built? Because this will tell you, you write these down real quick, this will tell you exactly the vibration that you are going to move into next year with. And that basically comes down to, who am I? Who am I? Because if we're building security, if I'm building safety, if I'm building, you know, my reclusiveness inside my house, if I'm building walls around relationships, if I'm building, you know, fat around my body, if I'm building bitterness and resentment in things that are happening to me, if I'm building debt, am I building crisis, right? Am I growing drama? Am I growing these problems? Am I growing these circumstances? Am I growing criticism? Am I growing in bitterness? Am I growing in my safety issues? Am I growing in my relationships problems? Like, what am I growing? Because it's just like astrology. There's always two sides to every aspect of us. You know, there's the positive and the negative. And if we go into non-duality with this point, and we just seriously just take a measurement instead of judgment. I truly believe in measurements, not judgments, because judgments define you, and that allows ego to then need to kind of create an unconsciousness, because your ego has to stay in a perpetual heroism of itself. Otherwise it would, you know, perish. It's a self-preservation tool. This is why doing like shame and guilt work is so difficult, because the ego has to sit in the fertilizer. It has to realize that it has basically feels guilty and shameful. It has to realize that it hasn't always been the perfect one, and it hasn't always done the right thing. And it hasn't always been, you know, the light being that it thinks it is, or the loving empath, or the kind person. And it can't deal with the fact that it isn't the hero of this story. But only when you can kind of allow yourself to sit in that, then you can decide, choose a side, intend, and make a new choice, right? So this is like, I haven't decided yet if I am going to, there's big projects that I have coming up next year, but I feel called to do a class, basically the class of becoming Christed, All right. And I don't consider it a class because I'm not going to be teaching you. I'm going to help remind you because you already know, obviously. Every human is Christ embodied if they choose their own salvation. That's what Jesus Christ means. Okay. If they choose their own salvation. So if you look at those questions that I just asked you and you sit with them and you ask yourself, like, these questions, and then whatever pops up, you notice where you feel that in your body. Today in the fellowship, I'm going to take you guys through biofeedback, a biofeedback session to find some really deep rooted stuff that maybe happened before you were nonverbal or before you had words. And I had a huge shift after I did this. So I thought I'll show the dudes in the fellowship this. But for you guys, I feel like you've already got so much training under your belt. You have tons of modalities at your fingertips. I know they do too, but there are some new people in there that I thought that might use that. But for you guys, you could use whatever tools you have. Your objective is to get deep, 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 deep into the waves, as deep as you possibly can, because that is actually where you're going to be the most safe. That is going to be where you realize you can breathe. That is going to be where you realize all your potential is. And so, yes, we're afraid to go that deep because we are a culture and a collective society that is terrified to feel. We're not terrified to do, but we are terrified to feel. And this is why, as long as we keep doing, we don't have to feel. As long as I keep trying to grow something, I don't have to mourn the loss of my last death. As long as I am in a new relationship, I don't have to feel the pain of the last one. As long as I'm creating something new, I don't have to look at the mess that I just ran from. So that's kind of where we realize that you're always running towards yourself. You're always running at what you are running away from. And what you seek is seeking you, but what you resist is also right on your tail feathers. So it's a win-win situation when it comes to the perspective of your higher self. And the reason why is higher self says, so fail and you get to start over. Like my son Luke was playing this video game yesterday. He's like, you know, he's 11. And so he dropped the damn it. Like, damn it. And he's like, because he kept dying. Right. And I was like, what the heck? You know, what are you saying? He goes, I just keep dying. And I go, well, that just opportunity to live again, right? He goes, yeah, but I know this game. I should be better at this by now. That is exactly what he said. And I was like, amen, brother. Right? Like speaking to the choir here, like same. And it was just funny because it's like, you know, in a video game, it's no big deal. It's like you die and you go, well, do I want to keep playing this character or do I want to try some different skin to see if I can run faster, if I want to do faster? And so if we kind of looked at what is not working, maybe it's just a change of character. Maybe it's just a change of skin. Maybe this one isn't working for you because choosing your own salvation means that you don't have to physically die, but you do have to create a new conception of yourself. You do need to go through a crucifixion and you do need to go through a resurrection in order to choose create a new character. That is the 3-point cycle of all creation. So when we change our mind, we have to, like, when nothing is changing, we have to change everything. Okay. And when everything changes, that is when we get to change everything. So if there's so many things that are just not working for you this year anymore, why not just completely reinvent yourself, but ask your inner child who you would have been if life didn't tell you no? What would you would have done if you had carte blanche? What would you would have said if you were allowed? Every child knows what they want to be when they grow up, even if it changes 20 times. If you ask a 4-year-old or 5-year-old what they want to be when they grow up, they'll give you 3 or 4 answers. Okay. If you ask an adult, they don't know, and they're actually living and doing the job. They don't know. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. What they realize is they don't want to grow up. Kids can't wait to grow up because they think that they're going to be able to control their lives. They're going to be able to manifest these dreams inside of them. But those children that are not allowed to be the astronaut or allowed to be the teacher or the mother because they were shamed or guilted, still have all of that potential inside, because potential doesn't age. Okay. And it doesn't mold. You just have walls around it that make you believe that you don't know what that is, or what your purpose is, or what you're on the planet for. But ultimately, if you go interview your 4 or 5-year-old, I would say 4.5 is perfect before the time wound shows up and the money wound starts to show up, and you have to go to school and you have to, you get separated from your home. That's when most of the trauma solidifies in childhood, is around age 5. And then it gets really solid by 7. Your subconscious mind is now basically a hard drive instead of software. Okay. So if you ask your 4-year-old self, right, who are we? Who are we? She, he will have no problem telling you exactly who you are. So if you are this age and don't know, go spend an hour with them. They know. And if you forget what a 4-year-old looks like, go creep on some. Just watch them in action. That age doesn't change significantly over the generations, because they're still bright lights. They might like to do different things. They might be way smarter than the 4-year-old version of us was, because every generation answers the desires. So what is in their body is what we asked for, right? So each generation evolution is created through desire. So what we don't have access to in our generation, they have access. This is why we were under nurtured and they are over nurtured, because we wanted nurturing. So now they're the over nurtured generation that really doesn't have to go without. They're allowed to feel their feelings for the most part. They have choices that we didn't have. And several of these children are the alpha of their homes. Okay. I know lots of families like that. Can you imagine? It's probably what you wished for, that some child is living. Like, I run this house. I sleep where I want. I do what I want. I know so many 3-4-year-olds like that. And I'm just like, you do your thing. More power to you. I mean, the parents are suffering, right? But it's like, they'll find their balance. Okay. But when you look at that and you think to yourself, like, if I was really allowed to be me, who I truly am, I would have never had to create this mask. I would have never had to hide myself into, self-preservation and service, right? And reclusiveness and academia and people pleasing and illness, because the thing is when you're not allowed to be yourself, all you do is hide it. It never goes away. It's still there. You're going to find it in the things you're jealous of. You're going to find it in the things that you're comparing yourself of. You're going to find it in the things that others have that you don't, because there's literally only 2 co-actors that are walking around the planet demonstrating for you. And one is representing your lowest self and one is representing your highest self. And then you've got the middleman. You got the ones that don't really trigger you. The ones that are going to trigger you the most, hopefully, is the lower self, because then we can make the unconscious conscious. But if the higher self is triggering you, that means the ego is still driving the vehicle. All right. Because if higher self is demonstrated in some form of greatness outside of you, and that makes you jealous or judgmental or in comparison, that you're not looking through the eyes of your potential. You're looking at your eyes of your own separation, because higher self is like, look at what I can do and you can too. See, this is why it's so fun to look at the mirrors and use them as like the game of hot and cold, right? It's like when you see people doing really amazing things, it's like, yes, and it resonates. I don't mean the stuff that you just appreciate watching, but if it like moves your being, then that is actually part of your complete package that you came in with. And you may feel like, well, I don't know how to dance. I don't know how to sing. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to. Yes, you do. You do. Your DNA does, but you haven't practiced it in your embodiment yet. So you don't have that coherence. Okay. So kind of like the self-analysis is really asking questions to create coherence. The coherence of the 3 brains. We've got the mental brain that kind of runs the hardware and runs the actor. Okay. We've got the heart brain and we've got the gut brain. And the gut brain physically is going to be responsible for the house of your emotion. Okay. How you feel about life. And it's going to be the pot of where a lot of your hormones are created. Okay, so kind of like the soundtrack of your life and the feelings of your life are going to be all in that gut area. And that is going to be your root and your sacral energies. And that's going to be the drum, basically, of how your life is unfolding. The heart is going to be the central command system of the telepathic unified consciousness. This is the streaming. This is where all of us are connected. This is where we are all in a rhythm and somehow, some way. And then the mental brain, right, that controls kind of the hardware, the software, and runs everything. It's the system runner, can be a thinker, okay? And it can receive and then perceive data that then tells the rest of the body who we are. But above the three active brains, you look at the brain as maybe just a satellite system to awareness. So if we don't have awareness that is telling the brain, that is telling the heart, that is telling the gut who we are, there will be lots of collective choices. All right. There's lots of generational choices. There's lots of bloodline choices, ancestral choices. There's childhood choices. But those choices are continually chosen by the womb of creation, the subconscious mind, if there isn't a new choice. So if the choice is not renamed, crucified, resurrected, basically subconscious mind purified, cleared, then manifestation will always, always, always end up looking exactly how it has always looked underneath. Even if you are manifesting from a conscious place, if the unconscious subconscious is still full of old belief systems, the back end of your manifestation will always end the same. That means that you could manifest the perfect partner, looks everything that's your vision board, but he leaves you like everyone always does. And I know for me, like, I don't want any of that, like, at all seriousness until the trash is taken out in the subconscious. Because one thing about choice is that we might not know exactly what we are capable of yet. We might not know exactly what we want to do in this life or be in this life. We might not know what our potential is, but we do know what we do not want. We do know by this point what we do not want anymore. And you can literally build your entire reality on opposition of that. Because non-duality is just playing the opposite game. All right. It's like, okay, fertilizer. Yeah, I'm in a big pile of, right? And I'm teaching right now the divine, the manifest your dream body, that ladies, you don't need to be in your masculine. You have access to your dark feminine. She is an alchemist. She loves taking fertilizer and creating purpose out of it. That's what she does. She lives in the dirt. All right. Masculine, you love challenges because it gives you something to build. And we have forgotten that we love contrast. If you walked into a museum, would you want to look at everything one color? Or does what draw you in is the deep contrast of the work and the difference in perspectives and spending hours just gazing at contrast? Food that is contrasting. We love it. But then we create reality and it's contrasting and we're like, I hate it, right? Like runaways, contrast. But I think what's happened is we have so much contrast that we have lost the power to look at contrast in a powerful way. We have lost our ability to feel that we can choose that which we discern. So in these questions, these final thoughts, this year, sitting with those questions, like I wrote mine out this morning. It's probably why I'm emotional, because I'm like, okay, like if I look at it like that, because you know who you are, but then your ego gets in the way and your day gets in the way and you're doing your affirmations and you're doing your work. But it's so important to take stock about what your behavior, what your daily routine, what your living meditation is actually turning into. Because it feels good to study. It feels good to do the work. It feels good to connect with like-minded people, but are you making progress? And to me, the first sign of progress is how deep in the water can you get? That might appear like failure to someone, right? Because everyone wants to be on top. Everybody wants to be on top of the wave. Nobody wants to be buried under the water where there's no light. Nobody wants to be there. But what if the greatest success that you could create this year is how deep underwater can you get and realize that you've never felt so safe. That is the womb of your creation there. And I kept digging myself deeper, and I'm like, when am I going to pop to the top? Like, when am I going to come up? And it just didn't happen. And basically, I learned how to breathe down there in that suffering, in that piled up contrast. And then I got to choose, is this what I really want? Is this really who I am? You know, is this is all there is? Is a series of failures, a series of years that pass, a series of kids that are going to grow up and away from me? Like, is this it? And it's like, no, it is only it if I keep moving forward, thinking that I'm actually doing something when nothing is really happening. So taking stock of, what am I growing? What am I building? Okay. And what I'm growing this year, what I finally realized after lots of journaling this morning, is I'm growing a relationship with myself. And that is the new foundation, which means that then anything is possible on top of that. But if I don't build that connection first, right, and really get back to who am I? The reason why our life doesn't work is because we're manifesting from the I am not. You will never truly be able to hold on to a reality that was based and manifested through I am not, because that life will prove to you that you're not. And that doesn't feel good. When you manifest from I am not, you get it proven to you. The relationship proves, yep, you're not good enough. The job, nope, you're not worth that money. Okay. Nope, you're not good enough to charge that. Not good enough to be on that stage. You don't look good enough to be here. You see, so when we kind of go back and say my work this year, we've been saying in every class, is deprogramming, right? Is getting all of the layers off of us, the pain, the shame, the guilt, the stories that we literally like own. You know, oh, I'm allergic to gluten, and it becomes part of your persona. No, you're not allergic to gluten. You've got too much stored emotion in your gut, and your gut is now not a safe place. And so now if anything goes in your gut, it's going to feel bad, basically. Clearing out emotional warfare in your gut will clear all of your allergies. And I know because I've done it. Gluten, dairy, avocados, bananas that were too ripe. I had those allergies, okay, and seasonal allergies and cat allergies. They all disappeared when I did my gut work. Okay, so we can't keep claiming these things like, well, you know, I'm just getting older. We don't have to age. You don't have to age. Once you know thyself and you realize I am immortal and my body was actually designed for me to choose its divinity or choose its mortality, that's the coolest thing about the body that you're in, is that the awareness or the consciousness chooses its program, how it looks, how it feels. But if you abandon your home for 6 or 7 years, you're going to come back and it's going to scare you. It's going to be a haunted house. And so this is why when we come home to ourselves, like imagine, do I stay on top of the wave and get my board broken and possibly die on top of a rip tide? Or do I go underneath where it's dark and get eaten by a shark or something else? So it's like, which fear is scaring you more? I would tell you, most people are more scared to go under because it's the uncertainty of what's down there that they don't know. They know they're going to die up there this way, but they can kind of like deal with that because that's what they've been experiencing their whole life, getting slapped by waves. But to go underneath and to truly be there and holding the breath and realizing like, I'm all alone down here. And then you realize that you're not. And you realize that everything down there has been like, hey, we were waiting for you down here, you know, your inner child's down there, you know, all your hopes and dreams are down there, like your potential is down there. And you're up there fighting and you're running out of energy, you're running out of daytime, you're sunburnt, right? You're all alone up there too. So it's almost like you got to pick your poison at this line, because each one will feel like suffering until you decide that it's not. And suffering is a choice, because like if I look at my life right now through my wounded light feminine energy and my exhausted masculine, right? My life is in shambles, considering what I would want for it. All right. But then if I look through the eyes of my dark feminine, there's this excitement that just builds inside of her. Like, look at what we can make from this. Look at what we know now. Look at what we have survived. Look at what we have wisdom with. Look at the potential from all this. Like, she sees it as a mosaic, right? It's like, oh, no, this is the beginning. And so divine masculine is going to look at destruction as, finally, now I can build it exactly how I want. You see, so it really comes down to perspective. And so, like, I don't really believe in resolutions, because they're usually made by the ego to become something better than what you're in vibration of. I like the idea of setting intentions. And so this idea of setting intentions is like, first, there has to be a burning desire. There has to be something that you want more than suffering. There has to be something that you know deep in your heart that you are, that is more important than self-preservation of how you look on the surface. It's got to be stronger than what people think of you, right? And then that vision will begin to take hold, and that vision will then solidify into an intention. And as soon as there's an intention, then you have both masculine and feminine energies working in union to create that manifestation. And then through Imagineering, acting as if, living in the wish fulfilled, that will produce the inspired action. The inspired action will turn into some sort of service, either towards you or from you, that will shift you and lock you into surrender. And then in surrender, the ladder will come and the hot guy will come save you, right? So it's like, that is the 7 steps of manifestation that I literally have tattooed on my back. Like, I can't see them, maybe I forgot, you know, but that is like, I had them written down my spine, because I'm like, this is my Kundalini. Like, this is my formula, and it does not change whether I'm playing in 3D, 4D, or 5D. But I do know that 4D, my 4D Imagineering is real. 3D is not. This is not real. This is a bad dream. This was created without my conscious consent. What's in 4th dimension is my conscious consent. It is my design. It is my blueprint. It is my harmony. It is my unity of all my me, myself, and I. It's all collaborating in there. All the people, places, and things that I know I'm here to experience, co-create, have, be, are literally just one Imagineering session away. And it feels real. Then when you step out of your 3D door and it feels bad, that is your indicator that it isn't true. Because what feels bad is not true for you. What feels good is your truth, and it always will be. I don't mean feel good for instant gratification, like 10 scoops of ice cream is going to feel really good. I mean that when you do it now, you wake up tomorrow and still feel good. That's what I mean. It's not the let me numb myself out. So another question for your self-analysis this year is, and that we've been going into this big time in our boot camp, is the shame and guilt shackles. So there's only like obviously you're a slave in hell until you decide not to be. And the way that you decide not to be is you return to the kingdom of heaven and you use the key. And the key is going to unlock the handcuffs of shame and guilt, which is holding you hostage, because this is what keeps you punishing yourself, aka sabotaging. This is what keeps you dimming your light because you're afraid of being ashamed. So when you dim your light and you don't believe you deserve because you should be punished for something you did unconsciously, then you will remain here as a working slave, right? Breadcrumbed, humiliated, and basically used until your body gives out. Or you can be like, I've got the key, right? It's free will, it's choice. I can decide to forgive myself. I can decide to return to the I am. So it's almost like, you know, when we watch Star Wars and then we go back and we like start seeing all the prequels, that's where the best use of your December is. Go to your prequel, go to your origin story, go to before your insecurities, before your lack of confidence, before you thought you were stupid, before you thought you were ugly, because those places in you literally turn your volume all the way up. I mean, Luke still does this. He's 11 years old and he will learn something. And it drives me nuts. He's a kid. Mom, look at this, 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 look what I can do, look what I can do, look what I can do. And I'm like, okay, I've seen you jump like that 10 times now. Yeah. And so the more excited I get about it, the more he wants to do it. And so I'm at this crossroads where do I say, I've seen enough, right? Or I just go, wow. And so what I learned to do, because when he gets good at something, he wants to share it with the world because his volume is being received. His sharing is being seen and heard. So he wants to keep doing it, right? And so now what I say is, see if you can do that a different way for me. And I'm like, pretty bad, right? Because I don't want to ruin his bubble. But at the same time, I don't want him to I don't want him to give up that, but I also don't want him to just stay in that. I want him to use that to create more, to create more, to create more. And, you know, I think I shared this. He's really into reenactments of World War II. Like he's obsessed, right? So be it, whatever his hobby is. He's studying all the guns. He's studying all of the battles. He's studying all the places. He wants me to take him to France to do this reenactment, right? He's collecting gear on eBay. And I'm like, this is an old soul that I have here. He's learning German. Okay. He's digging ditches in the backyard so that he can shoot his guns. And I could look at that if I was coming from a wounded place, and I could be worried about that. And I am so freaking excited about this because he's not sitting on a tablet. He's not, you know, riding his bike around, getting in trouble. He's not sitting in his room on TV. He's not on YouTube, except the World War II stuff. He's made me sit through lots of movies. He is more articulate than anyone I know about this history point. And he's 11 years old. And yet his teacher tells me that he's fallen behind. And I said, teach him something he's interested in, right? Like, hello, but this is our world. So again, he's learning and he's using his imagination, and who knows where in the Akash he's pulling this from, but he's teaching me German. And so I'm thinking, this is expansion. This is expansion. So when you're looking at what am I growing and what am I building, don't judge yourself, because it might be you're growing the ability to hold your breath underwater. You're becoming courageous. That's what you're growing in. You're growing in your potential. You're building your fire of desire again. Don't short sell yourself, because even if circumstances look bad, this is not real. Jesus said, let it go and follow me, right? Your salvation is here. 2024 is the year of infinite potential, which means you're going to have a DNA activation next year. Are you going to be in your body to receive it? Because if you are not, then you are going to be more empathic, more sensitive, more in tune to what? Because if you aren't in your body, that body is still a vessel. And everything that vibrates energetically on planet Earth is looking for a host. Every spirit and lost soul on Earth that does not have a body would love to be in yours. Love it. And when you have negative emotion, repressed, suppressed, depressed, and then it's so uncomfortable that you escape from it, the vibrational energy of that darkness creates a like-minded parasite. Okay? So if you're not there because it hurts too much to feel, then something the same vibration of that will move into your body and live in that emotion. And that is another reason why you forget to do your shadow work, or you eat instead of doing your shadow work, or you do something else, or because this energy is like, this is my house. So if I walked into this house that I live in now, and I could tell that there was a bunch of spirits in here and it was haunted, and I could tell they didn't want me in here, would I get this house? Would I buy this house? I would, right? Because I'm looking at the potential and I'm like, the molding is awesome and the hardwood floor and all this, like, I love it. But somebody else would be like, I'm out of here. Well, this is what happens to your body when you come home. It's haunted. So those critical voices that pop in your head that you think are you, no, it's your emotional residue. It's the vibration of the stuck emotion that is mixed with the parasitic psychic energy that's there. And it's speaking to you as, get out. It's literally haunting you. Because if you raise your vibration, then your body will no longer be a match to those parasitic energies that think and feel and devour and eat and consume, because that's what they do. Are you hungry, or is the parasite hungry? And I'm not talking about worms. I'm talking about energy parasites as well. Okay. I'm talking about all forms of parasitic energy. And to me, what a parasite is something so low vibration that it has to hide in a host. And if it's discovered, it's so weak and it's such a short life cycle that if it's discovered, it's very easily solved, that it just hides and burrows. And it hides and burrows in energy that you can't see through, which is lower emotions, which is heavy metals, right? So you can't see through that metal wall, all right? And so your blood represents your spirit. Your lymph represents the psychic, kinetic, plasma-based world. And so when your blood is boiling, or when your blood is in love, that's shifting the vibration. So when you get really bitter and you get really frustrated and your blood gets really angry and you just stomp around and breathe and simmer, you are creating the perfect house for those spirits to live. But if you went, wow, I'm really frustrated, I think I'm going to go have a conversation, journal this out of my body, go do a little breath work, go take a run and like process my thoughts. There's going to be a voice that says, no, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. And that voice isn't you. Discerning between the voices is going to be important, because everything that tells you that you shouldn't do something, or that looks like you keep trying and nothing's working, you've got to look at who's in my house, all right, and reclaim it with the authority of the God of this world. You are the God of this world, and you are the God of your body. And you get the body first before you get the world, because God wants to see what you do with this world, right? God knows what's happened to this world when maniacs and psychopaths and narcissists are in control. So it first says, all of you are Christ, all of you are the child of God, and the kingdom of heaven is within you. So first, seek ye the kingdom and make this heaven, and then heaven will be birthed out of you. And that is not going to change. Because think about how many negative thoughts you've had. What if they all manifested? What if they all just manifested? Because the occult They have access to instant manifestation. This is why you're going and buying a burger, because you saw a commercial and it instantly manifested a desire within you, because they use instant manifestation to lure you, because the occult has access to instant manifestation. You do not yet, right? If you start studying all the Hermetic philosophies and start working in the occult, yeah, you can too, but you have to sell your soul to do that. Or you can choose your own salvation, purify thy vessel, manifest from an aware space, and ta-da, right? Like, but first, this is the holy grail, the body. And this is why, like, my main focus is the biology of manifestation. I don't know why, but epigenetics and quantum biology have just lit me up since the day that I found my first book. Okay. And I knew that at the end of this game, there was a reason why we chose a body. A lot of spiritual people think we're just supposed to get out of it, like ascend from it. No, because then you can't enjoy the 12-course meal, guys. Don't you want to enjoy the 12-course meal and know that you could have that whenever you want, and that you could afford that, and you could have the right people to do that with? Because that's what you came for. You came to see your child born and your first grandchild. You came to see, you know, all of the different cycles that your garden would have. You came to write music and poetry and make love. You came to get your feelings hurt so that someone could finally treat you right and you would appreciate it. You came to get so tired that sleep felt like the most amazing thing. And it's so easy to forget that, because what we do is we focus on the negative, because the 38 spirits you have wrapped up in your organs are all having negative thoughts within you. So you don't want to be here. You want to be there. And so this idea of creating a new self-concept, look at the word concept, conception. Okay. So it's almost like you have the womb of creation within you. You birth a new you. Christians call it the new man. Okay. Then you go through your crucifixion, which, if I looked at that like I'm going to take my crucifix and I'm going to this house, right? I'm going to exorcise the demons. Then I might appear as if I'm dying. I might appear as my life is over. I might appear that I'm losing everything on the surface. I might appear that who I am is losing touch and that I don't want to be here anymore. And that would be the crucifixion, seen from ego mentality as, I thought you were a spiritual teacher. Why is your life in chaos? Well, no, why can't you do this right now? Oh, because you know what? I'm saying goodbye to Jesse, right? And I'm saying hello to JC, which is my actual initials, right? And that is worth losing all of this for 100 times over. Because if I could manifest with the truth of who I was before the world told me no, watch out. What am I capable of? And I would rather have a few years of that than this over and over again, like Groundhog Day. So then when your resurrection happens, right, you're starting from a new subconscious, a new womb, except who is in charge of this body now is someone who loves it and values it and treasures it and uses it and creates with it and, you know, lives in it, because your body is the inner child. And so how you treat your inner child, or how you treat your body, is how the world will treat you. Think on that for a minute. If you don't like how you're being treated right now, how are you treating your body? If all of a sudden people are treating you better, I bet you're treating your body better. Because a child can't speak words, it speaks feelings. And so the feelings are going to come at you from outside you, but it's actually your body saying, hey, jerk, you abandoned me and rejected me. And yet you get an email from someone that says, hey, why did you reject and abandon me? You jerk, right? So your body will not speak to you if you're not in it. It will speak to what you are looking at. So what I'm looking at, it will reflect. So how well I take care of my body is how well the world will take care of me. How much I treasure my time is how much time I will have. And every energy source, money is the same thing, right? Ultimately, our goal here this week, self-analysis. Who do you choose to be? All right. If anybody is interested in doing another year with me, I'll make it worth your while because I don't care about the money. But I want to teach this Christed energy, even if it's just to go into my book. Like I get a lot of my book from teaching because it's all live. I had no idea what I was going to say today, except we're going to do some self-analysis. And I had 4 questions for you. That was it. Everything else is just in the moment. And that's the way I prefer it because then I get to take the class too. So ultimately, let's see our time here. Perfect timing to catch up. Does anybody have any questions on this or anything they want to, work through really quickly while we have a few more minutes? Anything I missed that you guys are experiencing that you want to talk on, share about?
There's a Dominique question in the chat.
She says can't talk, but that's all I see. Can't talk. Or just some weed and seed, meaning feeling guilt and shame, then imagineering. Yes, I mean, you're going to be constantly weeding and seeding, but here's the thing. Good question, Dominique. Weeding and seeding is perfect, but make sure that there is a powerful intention and purpose for it. Because if you don't have an intention to, like, if your garden is being neglected, you're not going to be inspired to go out there and weed. So if you have a very strong intention, you're going to be so excited to weed. Okay. If you don't have an intention, you're not in your imagineering. Because if you go in your imagineering, you're going to get an intention for your next year. Right. And it's not based in settling. It's not based in, well, what can I create? It's like all bets are off. If the energy is going to get more intense, then the other side of that is it's going to be the best surf riding that I've ever had. Because as the waves get bigger and I become in flow of those waves, then I'm going to have a way more epic time. But if I look at, oh, next year is going to be really scary, so what's the point? And it's not fair. Well, then that's a choice. So I would say that before you weed and seed, you want to make sure that your self-conception, the new conception, is tight. Like I spent probably 2.5 weeks in the boot camp just going over self-concept because I didn't want them to go into their imagineering with survival-based desires. Because then what you're going to do is manifest from old subconscious programs because you are going to manifest that. You're going to manifest what you want and what you don't want underneath over and over again. It's like drinking fresh wine in a moldy bottle. It is going to be all tainted. And I know I'm tired of that. So I've spent this entire year deprogramming and learning that, you know what? Even the worst possible shiz that I've experienced is still better than getting your heart broken over and over again, or, having a failure that you were super excited about. At least you know now why. So the self-conception comes first, then the intention. Okay, this is the new I am. And so I am going to weed everything that is not this. See, now you have a place to weed. Now you know what to weed. Everything that doesn't feel good that you believe about yourself that goes against that I am is what you weed. And the seeding, that should just be sitting in your movie, basking in what higher self is going to show you about yourself. Because if you lean in to the current of spirit and say, who am I? She'll say, well, who are you with no problems, with no anima issues, with no body problems, no health, like relationship problems, with no chaos, with no government, with no like struggles? Who are you? Well, that's your higher self because she's already realized, potential realized. So what you would do is disciple off of her, look at who she is, look at your current life, and then weed everything that's not like that. And that is not an overnight process, because I've tried, it don't work. You gotta, this is I feel like my life, and I know Andy's going through the same thing and a couple of you others, because I'm working with you guys, but like our life is a 24-hour a day meditative space. There's not 1 hour that we're not incorporating some of this into it. There's never like, okay, I'm done with that. Now let me go back into my, no, because nothing is now the same. Everything is an opportunity. Everything is a challenge. Everything is a new awareness, as everything is the free will choice. I can be this person doing the dishes, or I can be this person. I can keep this frustration in my body, or I can go take out the trash right now, regardless of how it's going to look. So it really becomes like this. It's kind of like the feeling of this. Like once you've lost that 10 pounds, you're just motivated to eat better. And so you're also motivated to go to the gym because you have results. So if you're not Imagineering, you're not going to have enough results on the inside of yourself to have the desire, the intention, and the, consistency and discipline to actually weed and seed. So if you're not weeding and seeding, you don't have enough intention yet, which is fine. That's why I asked you these questions, because you might be thinking that, you paid all your bills this year and nobody died, so you're doing good. But that is not what you came for. You came to grow or build. And then you came to grow and build together, because no man should be left alone. It says that in the Bible, that you're not here to be alone. I know you feel the best when you're alone, but you did not come to be alone. You came to co-create. And so that coming together, like the unity consciousness of the puzzle, is what you came for. Because when you find someone that you merge with, or a song that speaks to your soul, that's co-creation. I can't imagine a world without music. Music has been my gateway to heaven since I was a child. Like if I ever want to go to heaven, I just turn on the music. And so Imagineering is no different. So hopefully that helps. But what did you have a question, Dermot, or something you wanted to share?
Oh no, just the music. I'm always sat here with this behind the camera. So
Yeah, I love it.
it's
Love it.
yeah. And like the thing I'm seeing for myself, because again, my strength and what I study a lot and what I create is more health within my body. And the way I do that and coming into my body is through qigong or martial arts, and just finding that, like again, allowing in a very different place, where allowing the what maybe in the past would have been like, because I try new things just to keep my body active, and I'm like, I can't do this, but I'm like, but tomorrow I will, so
But I
today
can't do this great.
yeah,
You see what I
and
mean?
but
Like, it's like,
yeah,
I can't do it great, but I can do it, and I can
yeah,
get better. Right.
yeah, and the bits that I can't do, it's okay. Maybe next week I'll try again and try again and try again, and I'm always taking that first step in, like, just rather than, because I've, as a teacher, I see students coming in and being like, oh, I can't do it, and they drop into this like, oh, sorry, I'm taking up your time, sorry, I'm here. So, and I'm like, no, we don't do sorry in my class.
Yes.
Yeah, it's recognizing that, again, it's what I'm seeing in other people, so I recognize it within myself, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm taking part, I'm practicing, and it's a game I'm playing, it's just fun. It's fun for the sake of being in my body, because that's what I'm doing.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this question, and I know you're going to give me the answer. So what comes first, creating or creation?
They are one and the same.
Right. But what is like, what does it take to manifest creation? Creating, right? So it's like there, before creation, before there is like you doing something, there is the you creating it. So the thing I recommend in the boot camp is that you sit for at least 3 days doing it in your mind first. And then what this does is it builds a neural pathway for your brain to actually know how to do it in Imagineering, which is creating. And then when you step into creation to try it out, it won't feel like it won't feel so embarrassing because you're all jumbled up. Like if you want to sing in your imagination first and then sing. If you want to dance, go dance in your imagination first and then go dance, because you'll build the neural pathways stronger, thicker, faster by not moving your body, but doing it in the feeling state. Because think about it, if I do it in the feeling state first, there's no resistance. There's nobody watching me. There's nobody telling me I can't do it. I have infinite speed. I have infinite talent. I have infinite flow in my imagination. And if I just go, oh yeah, I want to sing, and then I get on the stage and it sounds like dying cats, I might never pick up a microphone again. But what if I came here to sing the word of God? You see what I mean? It's just like, but I did creation first before I created myself. So that is something that I recommend for all of you, because I love that fact that you're trying new things, because that's how you get to know your body, is trying, using different muscles. Like I have the girls doing belly dancing to open up their dark feminine energy right now, and to open up your hips and to release all that trapped energy. Qigong, same thing. Like that's powerful. So that's just a little side thing. And I'm sure you're already doing that, but that's one piece, is that we want to spend time in non-physical, that's underneath the waves, creating ourselves first. And then when we step into physical reality, we're not rookies, because there's already a neural pathway built. And even if it doesn't sound good, it's like Dermot tuning his guitar. It's just going to take a couple of times of working with the instrument before the rhythm and the flow come back. And so then it's like the neural pathway is built, and now the body and spirit is attuning to each other. And then you'll create a flow. And then the more that is practiced, then the better you will get. So if there's something that you really want to do in your heart, but you suck at it, realize you don't suck at that. It's just that you were told no, away from that part of your I am. And so that place is super low underneath the water, and it needs to be resurrected. And if you do it in imagination and you start running really fast, or climbing a mountain, or doing something with your body in imagination that you can't do physically, your body will begin to come alive. The inner child will come out of hiding. You'll have a neural pathway. And then when you start practicing, you won't give up. So thank you for saying that, because that's perfect.
And there's a thing coming through for me as well. It reminds me of the concept of Wakantanka, Great Spirit. And, you know, he's the Great Spirit is represented by being that which is the creator, the created, and creation itself, you know, so it's all in one. And there's an old teaching from the Lakota Sioux that came through as you're talking, which is that we do that so from not from the thinking mind either, but from the feeling space. And the kind of way that is asked through an old teaching I learned is, we say, Great Spirit, guide me in the way of the open heart, that I may know you through all moments in all life. So we have this Great Spirit, guide me in the way of the open heart, that I may know you through all moments in all life.
Love
and
it.
We're creating from, you know, whether you call it God, whether you call it Wakantanka or the Great Mystery,
infinite intelligence,
being in the heart space. May Great Spirit, may you guide me in the heart, you know. So it's that kind of bring me from there, that I may know the creator, created, and creation through all moments in all life. So it's, yeah, brings that in.
I think she froze.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, me too. Hi.
Yeah, so yeah, like I always see things like this happen when you're onto something. It's like it's that freezing of stuff comes in, especially through technology. It's like, well, hold on, you're saying stuff there. That's good. That's important. So yeah, Great Spirit. Yeah, I will share the full text, but I'll repeat it again. Great Spirit, may you guide me in the way of the open heart, that I may know you through all moments in all life. But I'll put it in the chat, and I'm wondering if Jessica's going to rejoin us, or
Like it said that now you're the host.
okay, right, I'm the host. Well, welcome to the next hour. And today we're going to study arpeggios. I hope you've all brought your guitars. But yeah, maybe not. But yeah, so it's from, the teaching is from the Lakota Sioux, and it's an old teaching I've had for 30 odd years. It's this it's actually a deck of cards, but it teaches quite a lot about the Lakota Sioux, and it's the very first teaching from it is that we are creator, created, and creation itself, and just being in that trinity of it is brilliant. But yeah, I'm gonna end the class.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Jess, we can't hear you.
There we go.
Oh,
No, you
okay.
can't read my lips after 4 years of classes. Come on, guys. Sorry about that. Everything just froze. Sometimes I just get so excited, like just freeze everything. Anyways, that's great to follow up the end of this class with. Any last thoughts, Ermit?
Yeah, I became host. We were about to start studying guitar arpeggios, but yeah, maybe another day.
Yes.
But yeah, I continued and shared that teaching again. Great Spirit, guide me in the way of the open heart, that I may know you through all moments in all life.
I love that. I love that. And then that's so perfect, because the infinite intelligence already knows how to play the guitar, how to run a marathon, how to climb the mountain, because it's already there. If you have a desire, it's already there waiting, and it already has all the coordinates. It already has it's a complete package. And so, like, the Lakota Sioux is like, just to tap in with gratitude and thanks that it already is. So it's like, we just need to satellite, you know what I mean? It's like, find the cell signal that you're already streaming that, instead of, oh, I got to learn how to do this. And so if we go to creating first, then creation happens effortlessly. This is why it's 80-20. That's why it's 80% creating, 20% enjoying creation, not creating in creation. Doesn't work that way. So it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Anybody?
My answer is always the egg, because dinosaurs.
Okay. Well, here's what I know. The chicken came first, because the chicken had the desire to know thyself. And so in the womb of her creation, she created herself out. So in the 7 days of creation, God didn't put eggs. He put animals, right? And they were grown so they could procreate. So if we look at, you are full grown in there. And so you don't have to be the egg. You can be the dinosaur, right? And then whatever desire is birthed out of you, you will then create thyself out of. So that's like, that really struck home with me, because so many people say, well, why don't I want to manifest from like the getting? No, you want to manifest from the having, because only in the having do you have all the coordinates. If you're getting, you don't know that you yet. You just barely, like, that's too fresh. But if you have it, the having you is satisfied and peaceful, right? The desiring you is passionate and eager. Creation is the vibration of already being, already having. So if we go to creating already, then it's just lining up and basically getting out of the flow, getting into the flow and out of the waves. So that's perfect. Anybody have anything else they want to add before I wrap? Let's see, there was like one comment here. Chicken. Oh, yeah. Good job, Donald. You must be doing the 7 days of creation imagineering. All right, guys. Well, so good to see you. I'm going to sit with this idea of this class next year. I really want to teach the translated scripture, but it's not just biblical. There's so many places I want to pull from to give the different aspects. But basically, the idea is that we're going to use the infinite potential to choose our own divinity through imagineering. And I think the way that looks like is kingdom come, right? So it's just like getting back on the throne and turning the beautiful citizens, aka cells, into harmonious beings of light that are led by a peaceful leader that will effortlessly birth out all of the desires that match the body. So it's just like there's a world inside of you that fits your body. You see, that fits your dreams, that fits your choices, that fits your fun, your definition of fun. There's a world inside of you that was made just for you. But the way that you find it is you have to come in here and get it. So can't wait. Anyways, I'm already got ideas, and it's an hour a week for me. So, what do I care? It's just a way for me to write my books. And if anybody wants to join me, let me know. I'll probably do it even cheaper than I did this last year because I'd love for you guys to be able to do it. Otherwise, you guys got this. You guys got this. And we're going to go to January anyways. So I will see you guys all next week. Sit with this self-analysis because I think that if you're just like waiting for the end of the year to do your resolution, I don't think that that is going to be profitable for you. I think sitting in your fertilizer and either summoning up your right hand of God through your inspiration in your masculine or summoning your dark feminine and getting to work as the alchemist, it's all good. You guys got this. All right. Love you all. See you soon. See some of you later. Bye.